Hey, Robin here from Post Professionals. Here just one chapter from one of my longer videos for easier access. But if you prefer to watch the whole thing in one go, you can find the link either up here or down in the description. Either way, I hope you enjoy, and if you do and it was helpful, maybe do me a solid and give me a thumbs up, or even smash the old subscription button, which really helps the channel. Thanks, and now this. Now, remember when I was talking about the new social titles in Final Cut Pro and their ability to recognize and auto-adjust to a project's aspect ratio changes? I said that there was something new in motion. Well, technically, this isn't actually new. It's always been there. Apple has merely improved the feature a bit to make it easier to use. And while nearly all standard Final Cut titles, transitions, effects, etc. have been edited to work in various aspect ratios, any custom titles, templates, etc. that you might have that don't have so-called snapshots set up for the needed aspect ratios will need to have them added to work correctly in, for example, this square project. For example, if I skim my scoreboard title that I showed you earlier, we see that it's previewed in 16:9 as any title is, in which case it looks perfectly fine. Now, if I connect an instance to each clip in my square project, we can see the world isn't so perfect anymore. I can add some random values, switch the sport accordingly, but the title has basically just been placed centered over my video and hasn't even been scaled to fit. Therefore, it's cropped on either side, and the text fields for the team names are outside of the frame. And even scaling it down doesn't work, since that also scales the video below it, as titles will sometimes do because of the title background layer. But if you have motion, and I highly recommend everyone have it in their arsenal, especially since it's only a measly $50, this is actually a very easy fix, even for someone that has never done anything with motion before, because they find it to be very intimidating. Because all I need to do is right-click on the title in my titles browser and select Open in Motion. By the way, if this were one of the standard Final Cut titles, it would say Open a Copy in Motion. With that, surprise, surprise, the title is opened in motion. And now all I have to do is select the project layer at the very top of my layers window, switch to the inspector window, and then select the project tab. And here I have two sub-tabs, publishing and snapshots. Clicking on snapshots shows me which display aspect ratios have been set up for the project. And we can see I only have one for 16:9. In other words, the ones listed here are which aspect ratios are recognized and adjusted for when used in Final Cut Pro. Again, this is nothing new, but rather something that has been a feature since version 5.0. But what is new is the simplicity of setting these up. As of version 5.46, you just click on the plus button and are given a simple pop-up menu with the most common aspect ratios to choose from. So anything from 1.8:1 to 9:16, and I still have the option to enter any custom aspect ratio at the bottom. So to make this title work in my square project, I simply choose the 1:1 display aspect ratio preset. With that, it's added to my list of snapshots, and if I select it, my canvas instantly adjusts accordingly, and we see what we saw in Final Cut. My title bar is cropped on either side. Now, all I have to do is scale and position everything as I would like it to appear should it ever be used in a square aspect ratio. So with my new aspect ratio selected, I first just need to click Edit Snapshot to let motion know that the changes I'm about to make only pertain to this snapshot. A little window opens with a button to stop the edit mode, and with that I simply select the text and balls layers, hit F1 to go into the Properties tab, and enter a scale of, let's say, 55%. Looks good. Now all I have to do is click and drag the layers while holding the Shift key to constrain the movement vertically to position them at the lower end of the frame where they belong. I can even slightly reposition the balls a little bit higher up to compensate for the slight change of perspective, since this is 3D after all. And I'm done. After clicking the Stop Rig Edit Mode button, I can switch between the two aspect ratio snapshots to check that everything is as I wanted. Of course, I could do the same for a 9:16 aspect ratio, for example, if I needed it, but I'll leave it at that for now, close the project, and of course, save. Now, back in Final Cut Pro, the new version is in my titles browser, but the instance in my timeline is still of the old version, which is why nothing has changed. But as a little power user tip, all I have to do is select the old version in my timeline and double-click the new version in my browser. And with that, the old is replaced with the new, and as we can see, it fits perfectly with how I had imagined it, and even the previously entered values have been preserved. And that's about everything you need to know about the new display aspect ratio functionality. But if I did in fact forget something, again, let me know down in the comments. So, was that helpful? Again, if so, then maybe give me a quick thumbs up or even hit the subscription button and little bell to help the channel, which allows me to continue to produce these free tutorials and so you don't miss future ones. For that, a huge thank you in advance, and I hope to see you in the next one, or maybe in one of these videos that YouTube thinks you need to have seen as well. Either way, until then, take care.